Bribery within trucking. Why are you guys so surprised? Seriously? Anybody could have asked me and I would have told you that people are buying their Class 1 licenses. I wasn't surprised at all. It's great that they finally came out with the story and they were able to prove it with the hidden cameras, and we'll talk a little bit about some of these stories today and some of the comments. I'd really love to comment on some of them, but I mean, I'm not surprised at all. Do you know how many people come in through the doors trying to pass our road test? I question how in the world did they get our license? I mean, you take any road test instructor for any medium-sized carrier and they'll tell you that there are some guys that absolutely don't know how to drive out there, and there's no way in hell that they passed a ministry road test. Obviously, they bought it somewhere. Where did they buy it? Who knows? But I can assure you this is not new information to us. But let's look at some of these comments.
I'm looking to get my license. When can I start driving? Today?
Proper training can cost more than $10,000, but here they're charging half that.
4,500. 4,500?
Yeah, with the two price.
In 4,000, 2-time road test is included.
4,500. For the everything.
The average price of a MELT program right now in Ontario, even in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, I would say is probably between $8,000 to $9,000 is what trucking schools charge for this mandatory entry-level training. The fact that it costs $4,000 should already be a red flag. I mean, you don't need hidden cameras for that. I mean, you can just Google MELT programs and then start calling one by one these schools and asking them how much they charge. It's not rocket science, and obviously the ones that charge $4,000 or $5,000 for sure should be investigated on how they're charging so low.
Who wants to drive a tractor trailer has to take at least 103.5 hours of training before they can take a road test.
103 hours completed, it doesn't matter you are completed or not. Maybe you will ready in a 90 hour, doesn't matter.
A third of the time is supposed to be spent in a separate classroom learning theory. Not here.
No in class, no need for in the class.
Okay. No theory, nothing.
No.
Before your road test, I will train you 100% for everything.
Everything is here.
Everything is here.
Any classroom or anything?
All right, so just to be clear, this is happening here in the GTA where people are either getting bribed or cutting corners. So the videos that we're seeing right now is actual truck driver training schools that are cutting corners. There's 103.5 hours that need to be done. 1/3 of that has to be in class theory. The rest of it is in the truck. So you can see here that people are just cutting corners, and when they're asking about the in class, they're like, no, what are you talking about? There is no in class, everything is done over here. And there are multiple videos of different truck driver training schools that are doing this. So it's not just one, there's a few of them here. I'm not surprised at all, but let's continue.
Classroom, I will cover everything here.
From the very first day when the test is booked,
Yeah.
you can go with the S-back.
The S-back is a way to reverse a truck. Different drive test centers ask for different backing maneuvers. So that's what you're taught to pass, instead of real-world driving skills.
You have the test in, suppose, Newmarket. We are doing the C-backing. So, C-back. Very good.
Mostly they use the L back.
Okay.
People who teach at trucking schools in Ontario need no
Okay, so let's explain this, okay? C-back, L-back, S-back, the different types of backings. Different test centers will use different backings. The problem is that they know which test center does which backing. If they know that they're going to get licensed or they're going to do their test in a certain location, they only need to practice one type of backing instead of knowing all of them. You know, can you imagine what happens tomorrow in the real world when they're trying to get a job? I mean, these are the drivers that are on the road. I mean, my family is on the road, on the highways, my wife, my parents. A lot of your families are on the roads, and these are the kind of drivers that are on the road with them.
rumors that the bribes are as much as $5,000 for a pass. The province's testing guidelines that tell examiners to ignore the first-time traffic law.
Drivers going into a test center all of a sudden slips an envelope to the instructor. Some instructors will take it, or at least I think they probably already know which instructors take the bribes and which instructors don't take the bribes. Now, obviously, there's been red flags and there's been complaints about this. This is very serious stuff. And now you have a system in place where instructors are taking bribes in order to pass Class 1 drivers. So now we're having people on the road that are not supposed to be on the road, that are licensed now on the road. So I wonder what happens in a situation if there's an accident. I mean, This drives me crazy. So what happens in an accident? If that driver tomorrow drives a tractor trailer down the road and kills somebody, that instructor that took the bribe should be going to jail, and everybody that's involved in the scam should be going to jail. And that school that passed him, or that school, should also be going to jail. And you know, it's great that they're creating awareness for this, but whoever that trucking school is, you know how easy it is to open up a trucking school? I mean, it's crazy. I must say that I've gotten about, you know, at least 10,000 comments on what trucking school I recommend, and I'm so afraid of this, and I'm so afraid of, you know, recommending anybody, that I've never once on my channels said that I would recommend anybody, because I'm just so afraid of this. I don't know who's doing a good job and who's not doing a good job. I can tell you for sure that the drivers that come in here for the road test that say they have the experience, or even newly licensed drivers, man, they for sure paid somebody to get their license, because they don't know a thing about trucking.
Every day, dozens of so-called critical events take place, like this one.
He's coming up. Amber, he has enough time to stop within safety, makes the turn. So now he's got 2 infractions. He's got a hard left turn, and now he's got running red. So he will be written up, suspension of anywhere from 3 to 5 days with remedial training for speed, space, and management.
Okay, so technology is definitely taking us, you know, one step safer. Somebody's actually sitting and monitoring these harsh events. I can say for certain that there are good companies out there with good safety departments, with good safety scores, that are monitoring this. And I can also say that there's some horrible companies out there that are not monitoring these things, this technology that's out there. And they should be, because it'll definitely prevent accidents from happening, 100%.
There's no shortage of drivers in Canada, just not enough good ones.
I agree with this statement 1,000%, and I preach it on my channels and I talk about it all the time. We don't have a problem with driver shortage in our industry. We have definitely a problem with driver retention. Our industry is producing drivers as fast as it's losing drivers, and that is the problem. Somebody's gonna have to say, okay, hold up, what's wrong with this industry? And I've done, you know, multiple videos on what's wrong in our industry and why can we not retain truck drivers here in Canada. And you know what? The same thing is happening in the US. We are pumping out new drivers out of these driving schools. There's hundreds of driving schools, and I would have to say that a lot of them are not doing their job properly. I'm sure this whole investigation has caught multiple schools, but it doesn't stop them tomorrow from opening up another truck driving school somewhere else. And that's what I don't like about the system. Same thing with bad apples in our industry in trucking. I mean, tomorrow you can have a fatality on the road, and you know, I hate to take the Broncos bus as an example, but from what I understood, I mean, the owner of that company the following day went and opened up another trucking company in British Columbia, and those are called chameleon carriers. We really need to get tougher with our rules. And do I think that the government should be, you know, should have a hold of this and should be the one issuing, you know, class 1 drivers? Absolutely. Do I think that it needs to be a third party? I don't know if I could trust a third party to do this. I think that it needs to be regulated by the government, and these schools definitely need to have more of a government presence there to make sure that they're doing things right, actually coming to investigate the location, actually coming on site, doing pop-ups. I mean, just randomly calling them from their website on when they hold their classes, and just have somebody randomly show up. I know it's a lot of work from the government side, and I know it's a lot of work, but at the end of the road, we all want one thing, and that's for our roads to be safer. And with these things happening, I mean, I don't feel safe on the road, to tell you the truth, because I know what's happening. And I myself personally am not surprised by this, and I'm not surprised that there are trucking schools that do this, but there needs to be a crackdown on it. We'll see how this thing plays out, but people need to get charged and they need to be sentenced in order for these things to stop. I'm Ronen. I'd love to hear some of your comments, guys, and let me know what you think about these actions. What do you think about truck driving schools taking bribes, and also truck driving schools that are cutting corners, and also the instructors that are taking bribes? So let's hear what you guys have to say.